Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's global webinar. We are so excited to have you, and it's all about unlocking those secrets to writing your best-selling book, even if you're too busy. Yes, hi, lovely to have all of you. And we are going to be kicking off now. And before that, get ready. We're going to quickly open it up with a few videos and then straight into the main program. Very excited. All right. See you soon.
Women Empower Global and 1 Million Women in Power, in partnership with the United States Presidential Service Center, presents Break the Bias, global podcast on diversity and inclusion, towards gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. Join us as we explore thought-provoking topics and insights with women and men from around the world, while from diverse backgrounds, cultures, and sectors, as we together work on breaking the bias. Tune in to the Break the Bias podcast, now available right here.
All right. Hi, everybody. Warm welcome to you once again. I'm Stanella, founder CEO, global CEO of Women Empower Global. And I am so excited to personally be here today. And I'm super excited specifically because we're all about helping women evolve, expand, and elevate in their leadership presence, whether it's in their business, whether they're in corporate, or whether they are in STEM. So I'm very excited about today's session with Dr.Sherrie, and I've had the opportunity to get to know her over the past several months, and you know, she and I are working on a project together as well, and I'm so excited that she's on board. She's one of our global partners, and she's joined us today as part of us giving you, as always, curated, handpicked sessions that we believe are going to endorse, reinforce, and ignite your momentum and your velocity to be that personal brand, to be that powerhouse that we know you can be and that you want to be in your area of specialty, whether you're in corporate business or STEM. Today is all about finding that ground for yourself where you get to strengthen and expand your leadership visibility for your chosen field. You're currently probably thinking, well, Sunila, today is all about, being that best-selling author. Let me tell you, yes, it's all about personal branding. It's all about packaging you and taking it to the next level. This is going to be such a valuable program, which is why Women Empowered Global identified and handpicked this session to bring this to you, to our global membership. So with that, without further ado, I'm so excited to, hand over the talking stick to Dr. Sherrie. She's going to come on stage and she's going to take on the session. With that, Dr. Sherrie, I invite you to take the stage. Over to you.
Awesome. Well, hello. I have to say, I guess, good evening, good night. It's AM over here, and I'm so excited. I came here with a lot of excitement. I came here just really ready to help you all. I want to talk about books. I want to talk about your expertise. But before we get into that, can I just get you all to start talking in the chat? I want to know like who's here and where you're from. Okay, so if you don't mind, put your name in the chat and let me know where you're watching from today. I see Veronica is here. Hi, Veronica. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Who else do we have in the chat today? Okay, don't be shy. So I have to let you all know, like, I'm very interactive, right? So what you put into this session today is what you're going to get out of it. Okay, so that's Priya from India. I see Duana from West Palm Beach. Thank you so much for supporting today. That's in Florida. Who else do we have on the chat today? I see lots of faces, so I know that there are people here today. Where are you chiming in from? Sri Lanka, North Carolina, and the USA. Thank you all so much. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Who else do we have on? I know there's a few more people. If I could just get maybe one or two of you all to tell us where you're from. Awesome, awesome. Awesome. Well, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and dive on in. So you got the introduction. My name is Dr. Sherrie Walton, and I am here today to talk to you all about writing your best-selling book. So I'm going to be with you for an hour. Like, we're going to spend a lot of time today, and I want to set some ground rules as we start, right? So I understand that everyone is watching this probably at home, right? You're probably comfortable. So I want you to get rid of all of the distractions right now, because I want you to zoom in to what we're talking about. I want you to participate. I want to know about your books. I want you to turn off the TV if the TV is in the background. I want you to close the door and leave the kids and everyone else on the outside so that you can concentrate. I also want you to grab a tablet, a journal, a piece of paper and a pen, something that you will be able to take notes with and be able to just interact as we work on this session together. And the very last thing, right? Two things. Phone on do not disturb. Because that's one where we all get caught up in trying to answer those cell phones. And I'm actually, while I'm saying that, I'm going to make sure my phone is on do not disturb as well. We get distracted, right? But I don't want anyone to get distracted. And last, the very last, close all of the tabs on your computer so that you are not working on multiple things while we are talking today. Okay, so we're all good. I see Marty, welcome so much for joining. So listen, we're going to talk, we're going to dive in. I'm going to get ready to share my screen. And like I said, there's going to be different opportunities for you all to have a Q&A at the end of our session. So if there's anything that you have questions about, go ahead and put those in the chat, or you can save them for the end. I mean, I probably will be interacting with you all throughout with the chat as well, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to get started. I'm gonna get my timer on because I have the tendency of talking a lot, and I'm gonna make sure that I keep this within the parameters that we have set and we get going. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay, let's get started. And guys, just bear with me 1 second, because of course we're going to be working this technology while we're together. And I see a few more people that are in the chat, so thank you so much for chiming in. Okay, so I'm hoping that you all can see my screen. Can you give me a nod if you can see my screen? Can you all see the screen? Yes, awesome, perfect, perfect. Okay, so secrets to writing your best-selling book, even if you're no good at writing. And I always like to add that in there because people think that, okay, I want to write a book. I haven't written a paper since I graduated from college. I haven't done a research paper since I graduated from college. How do I put all of these words together? 40,000 words, 50,000 words. How do I even talk that much? And how do I put it all together? Well, we're going to be talking about how to do that today. So no worries, even if you have no experience. A lot of my writers are first-time authors and they have never written a book before. Actually, 90% of my authors are first-time authors. The other 10% are authors that wrote their book without taking a course with me, and then the book didn't sell, so they had to start over. So you are maybe in that 90%, the starting, never written a book before. You may be in that 10% of those that have written before. Now you're like, okay, so how do I really make some money off of this book? So today I'm going to give you the top 5 secrets to help you write your book by leveraging what you already know. So I'm going to pause there for a minute. When people talk to me and they say, how do you help so many people write books in 90 days? You've been doing this year after year, Amazon bestsellers. How do you get it done? Well, I'm smart enough to teach people how to write books about what they already know, they're already working with, they're already walking in that particular capacity. So it's not rocket science, because when you're talking about what you already know, it's a lot easier for you to formulate it and put it in a method so that people can understand it. So we're going to be talking about that today. The other thing that we're going to talk about is the right mindset to write your book. And I know you're like, okay, mindset, what does that have to do with writing a book? Why do we need to talk about mindset? Well, I have to tell you that if you do not have the right mindset when you're writing your book, before you start your book, you're not going to finish the book. As you all know, I'm sure I have a lot of professionals on here that understand that everything first begins with the mind, right? So we're going to talk about that today. And then I'm going to briefly hit on your 90-day game plan so that you'll be able to write your best-selling book. So you're like, okay, this lady's, she seems okay. She's really hyped. You know, why is she qualified to teach this? Well, I'm excited that I have had a few features throughout my life. You know, I've been featured on ABC News, CEO Mom, Essence Online, Fox News, TCT, Morning Barbados more recently. And I personally have helped at least, I believe in the last year, about 30 to 40 authors this year become Amazon bestsellers. So that lets you know that we are, not only are we working with hundreds and hundreds of authors, a lot of them are becoming Amazon bestsellers. So there is a system to what I do, just like there is a system to what you do, right? So I want to just talk a little bit and just show you some of the folks that we've been able to work with. You know, they always say proof is in the pudding, right? So it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to have some social proof that we've been able to do this. So this is just a few of the Amazon books that you'll see. Number one, Amazon hot new release for 7 days to reboot your thoughts. That particular book was about the wealth mindset. She Who the Sun Set Free is Free Indeed was a woman's journey about infertility, and how she was able to work through having, I believe she had at least 4 or 5 different miscarriages, right? And how she was able to overcome the depression and things that she went through in life. Then we have Uniquely You. She talks about removing the mask, winning over what whining, talks about as a licensed psychologist. She talks about her experience with helping people understand the system and the game plan in order to become a winning lifestyle. And then we have some more across the book. I'm not going to read all of those, but ultimately what I'm showing you is that there are books in almost every subject that we've been able to help people write their books on. So one of the things that I don't want you to walk away from this session today and say, I don't have anything to write about. I am not an expert in anything. That's not true, right? So we're going to talk about that today. So not only do I help other authors become Amazon bestseller, this is my latest book, Help, I'm Pregnant with Purpose, How to Discover, Manifest, and Walk Fearlessly in Your God-Given Purpose Without Delay. And this came out as a #1 Amazon best-selling book in Christian professional growth. And this was the weekend that this book came out. Like I said, the proof is in the pudding, but not only am I teaching you how to do it, it's something that I apply for myself as well, okay? So just to give you that background. So this is me and my family. I am a wife of 20 years next month, September the 7th, I'll be celebrating my 20th wedding anniversary. So, and then I have 3 children at home, a dog and a rabbit, right? So I say this to tell you that what I'm asking you to do, or what we're going to be talking about today, is not something that you cannot do because you don't have the time, right? Being in the position that I am, I totally understand how to put or what it takes in order to have the time to write your best-selling book. So in United Nations Ambassador at Large, best-selling author, wife, mom, CEO. I've been a business owner for over the past 18 years. And just working with people, just getting to know them for the past 7 years, I have been helping people, really a lot of women, but professionals in general, write their best-selling books, unlock their purpose, okay? So I have clients that are really young. I have clients as old as 65 plus, clients that are 9 years old. I'm saying this to say that if this has been a dream of yours, it does not matter where you start. I'm just concerned that you go ahead and you finish. So this is my life now. This is I travel the world. I'm actually at quote unquote an expat in Barbados right now, from Houston, Texas. And this is me recently on Morning Barbados. I had the opportunity, I hosted a conference here where I help women understand their purpose, and I talk about it, and I sell my book, Help, I'm Pregnant with Purpose, where the conference goes right along with the book. So this was one of my interviews. Then in the middle there, I was in China, actually in Guangzhou, with a client that I helped her write her book and coach her through the process. So I actually flew to her book signing in Guangzhou, and I had an amazing time spending 2 weeks there. So this is what I talk about when I talk about going global. People from all around the world are writing their books. And then me over here to my far right this is a picture of me in Barbados currently, just talking to people about how to live the life of your dreams and how you don't have to choose. That's one of the reasons why I became an advocate for writing books and helping people write their books. Although I am a business coach and a life coach and I do so many other things, it was something about helping people write their books that I saw just take their lives to the next level. It afforded me the opportunity to travel around the world, come here with 3 kids and a husband, came here for a 2.5-week vacation, and as we say, the rest is history. But even within that, everything that I'm going to be talking to you about today is what I've applied so that I can live the life that I'm living right now. Now, I like to show all those pretty pictures first, right? Because everybody's story has a beginning. So that was my life. This is my life now, but then there was a beginning to the story. And I'm going to slow down just a bit because I know I talk really fast, and I like to just spend a little time talking about where it started and where I came from, right? So in 2014, my family left Miami, Florida, and we moved to Houston, Texas. And it was a part of my purpose assignment, as I like to call it. And within that, everything that I knew in life shifted and changed. And for almost 2 years, my family and I lived in a hotel. This is one of the hotel rooms, and it's not even a hotel, it's actually a motel. We stayed in this motel as we were building, as we were discovering who we were, as we were going through our own process of becoming and understanding humility and understanding what it's like to start life from the bottom again. And idolatry is something that I've always keep in mind. And I don't know if they have any of those. Those of you that are in the US know what I'm talking about. Dollar Tree, I discovered during that time, actually sold food. And I keep that as a memory because I never want to forget, as I'm traveling around the world, I'm helping thousands of people write their books, tell their stories, and connecting with those as world leaders. And you see you an ambassador. I never want to forget the process of where I started. This process is what helped me birth my book. So I've learned throughout life, and some of the things that we'll talk about today, is that it does not matter where you start. Do you learn the lesson? in the process so that you can help others in their journey. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there. I know that was kind of like heavy, just telling you who I am, where I've come from, those that I connect with. But now I want to talk about you. We have to get the preliminaries out the way so you'll know who this is on the other side. So who is this for? Who is this for today? And if this applies to you, I would love to see you respond in the chat to let me know, yes, this is for me. This is writing the book is for me. This class today is for busy professionals who have considered writing a book, but don't think that they have the time. Do I have any of those today? Anyone here that is watching this that feel like you want to write a book, but this is going to take way too much time and you just don't have that much time? Is that anyone? Let me check the chat. Yes, this is for me. Awesome. Okay, and so let's see. Who else? Is there anyone else that feels that they want to write a book but they don't have the time? Okay, well, this also is for the woman ready to build or boost their brand, increase their profitability, and expand your global influence. I see you, Naomi. Yes, this is for you. So who is it that feels that, you know what, I have a message that I am ready to take to the world. I know that I'm so much bigger than my community. I know that I'm so much bigger than where I am right now. I know that there's so much more for me. Is there anyone that feels that way today, that you have been called to speak on a global platform? You see yourself, you see people speaking, and you're like, that is me. Yes, Priya, I see you, I see you, I see you. Awesome. Well, this session is for you today. Now, this is also for the woman that has a personal story or experience that will help impact the lives of others, and know that writing is in her purpose. And I'm saying her, I know there are a few men that are on the line today, but we were talking to Women Empowered Global. So those of you that feel that you have a personal story to share, that you know is going to help bring impact to other people, are you on the line today? Is there anyone that fits into that category? Yes, okay, I see that. That's me, that's me, that's me. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, you are in the right place. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep going. So there are some things that you are going to shift in today. And when I say shift, and I have to tell you, every time you're ready to start your book, there are going to be some shifts that you need to make in your mind. There are going to be some shifts that you need to make into your environment. And we all know every time it's about leveling up and taking your life to the next level, there are some things that you are going to need to change about yourself. Now, I'm not talking about from a physical appearance. I'm not talking about going to get another pair of shoes or having the right suit to present in. I'm talking about the shifts that you need to make, understanding who you are and being willing to stand and walk into that power. So the first shift that I'm going to need you to make is to be confident and stand in the power and know that who you were created to be, it's exactly what the world needs right now. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is where I believe a lot of women get stuck. They deal with that imposter syndrome and they say, okay, is my voice really necessary? Do people really need to hear what I have to say? Yes, yes, absolutely. You have to be confident, and once you're confident and you're ready to walk in it, I promise you this book that you are going to produce, create, birth, as I like to say, is going to shift everything so you understand the value of who you are. The other thing I want you to do is the shift that we're going to make is you're going to acknowledge and accept that you are the subject matter as expert and you deserve to get paid as one. Okay, so I'm going to come off my soapbox for a minute. And like I said, I generally like to have very interactive sessions. So if you could just chime in and let me know, do you feel today that you are charging your worth? It can be a service that you have. It can be a product that you have. Do you feel that people are paying you your worth? Or do you feel as if maybe you're being a little undervalued in the marketplace? Is that anyone today that may feel that way? I have quite a few people on the line today. So again, so let's talk. Is there anyone that feels this way? That maybe, you know what, I probably need to be charging for this, or maybe I need to be getting paid a little bit more. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, well, this is a place where a lot of first-time authors find themselves. They are leaders, they are people that are professionals, they have an expertise, but they have not been able to quite possibly charge what they're worth. A book is going to position you on how to do that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. The other shift that I need you to understand is that you can become an author in 90 days and build your personal brand or business with revenue opportunities created through your book. So I saw that someone said that they have written the outline of their book. A lot of people have started, or they start, or they have the idea, but they don't really understand on how to create it in 90 days. So the question people often ask me is it really possible to create and write my book in 90 days? And I say, absolutely yes. We actually have a timeline and system that I'm going to be discussing with you towards the end. So you don't want to jump off. Towards the end, we're going to be talking about what that looks like. Everything with your book requires structure. Everything with your book requires goals. So one of the first things that I want you to write down, what is the goal for your book? The book that you're thinking about writing, that message that you're thinking about taking to the world, what is the goal behind it? Like, why do you even want to write a book? Why do you feel that something that is, that you've experienced or an expertise that you have, why do you feel that it is time for you to take this message to the world? You're going to write your why. So that's part of your session. Once you're done with me, you can just kind of sit with it and meditate with it. But everything, like I mentioned to you before, is all about the vision. And you're like, okay, yeah, give me just like the meat and potatoes of how to put my outline together, how to come up with my content. Yep, that part is actually going to come easy. That part is going to come easy after we set some goals. That part is going to be easy after you have a vision for your book. That part is going to be easy after you understand your audience of one and who you're talking to and why you need to take your message to them. All of that's going to come. But before we dive deep into that heavy meat, right? We talk, and I use a lot of different analogies because I have children. And when I had children, they like literally changed my life. But as my child was born, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, I could not give them meat. I can only give them milk. So the process that we're going to go with is giving it a little bit at a time. So first start with understanding your why. Why are you going to write this book? Who are you going to write this book for? And when you are going to complete the book. Because if you don't have a goal for the book, you'll be like most people when they come and they meet me and they've already been trying to write a book for 3 years, 5 years, some even 10 plus years, because they never actually set a timeline of when they wanted to have it done. They never said, okay, I'm going to write my book by such as this particular date. So you are actually in the right spot because we are at the 4th quarter. So any goal that you have for 2022, you can still write this book in 2022. That means you're not late. September, October, November, I told you it takes 90 days. By December, we can be rolling out a release saying that you're coming out with your new book, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna keep going and sharing my screen. So one of the things, another shift is you need to understand that you have time. And I'm going to say that again, you have the time, but you also need to make this a priority. And then acknowledge that nothing will stand in your way from writing your book, stopping you from writing a bestseller, not even money. So let's talk. Let's talk. This is where we need to understand, what are you the expert in? Because when people talk about writing their books, I always say, okay, you have some ideas, right? Everybody has ideas. If they come to me, or probably 5 to 7 books that they can write. My first question to them always is, what topic do you know the most about? That's a pretty heavy question. You're like, okay, I know a lot about a lot of different topics, but what is it that you can talk about passionately What is it that if I put the camera on you right now and I ask you a question to interview you, you'll be able to just let it flow? What is that particular topic? I always like to say that I compare that to your low hanging fruit. Now, I want you to just get into the mindset. Me being a book writing coach, I always tell people that this is not a complicated process. Does it take time and energy? Yeah, it does. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. But when you write about something that you are familiar with, you already can just flow with the content. So when I wrote my book, Help I'm Pregnant with Purpose, I talked about my journey of becoming, and that's going back to that slide that I showed you all earlier of living in that hotel. I talked about that experience. I talked about the fact that I started incorporating journaling in my process, asking myself certain questions. I took my reader on the journey because I had finally realized that I was in a place in my life that I understood my process. Because of that, I was able to put that in a book that became a bestseller. So again, I ask you the question, what have you been through? What experience has life taught you? What is it that when people call you about, you are the person that gives a solution in 3 to 5 minutes flat? Those are the topics that I want you to think about. So another topic that I have people talk about a lot is leadership. So if you are in the professional arena and you have been there for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, even if you did not get a degree in that particular area, I see the word authority from Ricardo. Yes, what are you an authority in? So as a leader and you manage a team, do you know that you're actually an authority in that you're actually an expert in that? So go ahead, that part of that homework that I'm going to give you all, but you can even jot it as we're talking. What is it that you are an expert in? That's the first key to being able to write this book. The first secret, as I like to say, identifying what you do well, what you do easy. Some people can write a book about raising children. You've raised successful children, you've sent them off to college, and now, you know, they are about to enter corporate America or start their own businesses. You have actually become an expert in that. You can actually teach people what you did and how you did it. So write those things down. What are you an expert in? Now, from there, number 2, I want you to determine what problems your book will solve. So I'm going to go back using the example of raising children. If you stick with that, what problems could you solve for someone? Well, you can teach people how to have their children involved in extracurricular activities, or taking a foreign language, or what should you do with your child to prepare them for education, starting from 3 years old to 5 years old? What type of schools are the best schools? What type of organizations are the best organizations? Does that make sense? What type of foods should your children eat to make sure that they're not bouncing off ceilings? And I'm raising my hand because that is my story. That giving my children sugar is never a good idea. Now, reading that in a book, reading that in your book, I would be able to make that shift and understand, because remember, you're an expert in it. I'm now using your experiences or your research to verify, to validate, to clarify that, wait a minute, what you're talking about does make sense. Now, I want you to think about, what are some of the books that you actually read? What are the things that you learned from books? And have you ever looked at a book and said, I knew that already? What is it that your book is going to solve for the person that's connecting with you? The next thing we want to talk about is your identifying your audience of one. Now, I'm going to sit here for a moment. And again, these are very important points, because if you do not have these, and trust me when I tell you, I'm not only am I a book writing coach, I'm a publisher. And as a publisher, I find a lot of books that are not clear who people are, is not clear about the solutions that they're bringing, it's not clear that they believe in themselves as an expert. As a matter of fact, they make their entire book saying what someone else has said and using different citations from other books and other references, as opposed to their own walk, as opposed to their own experience. So you may say, oh, well, I don't know. This just kind of really doesn't seem that I need to apply these. Trust me, you do. And I do have a few clients that are on here that can attest. This is the process that helps you get these books written easy. So identifying your target market. I'm going to go ahead and just bust your bubble here and kind of hurt your feelings. You cannot write a book, your first book, to everyone. I know. No one wants to get real specific about who their audience of one is. But let me say it this way. If you try to talk to everyone, you talk to no one, and you do not write a best-selling book. I feel like I could have did a song off of that. Stop trying to write to everyone. Stop trying to put 15 different topics that are all over the place in one book, because you have not identified, going back to number 2, who you're solving this problem for, what the solutions that you bring in. Because you have not done that, you now feel like you have to just put everything together and nothing comes together, and talking to that particular person is not really happening. So I like to help you do that. This is one of the activities that I give my clients. As you're writing your book, as you are identifying who your market is, pretend that you are sitting at a coffee shop. I think Starbucks is probably one of the most popular coffee shops. Pretend that someone has told you that they want to meet up with you, right? And they want to talk to you because they're having a particular problem. Let's say, I don't know, she's having a relationship problem. You are a relationship expert. So as you're sitting there and she's talking to you about her relationship problem, you start telling her, okay, this is the way that you communicate in the relationship to have an effective relationship. Then you start talking to her about the best colleges to attend. And then you start talking to her about a restaurant. And then you're like all over the place. But she's like, okay, I'm right here. You just answered questions for different people at the same time, but I'm just asking you about relationships. So can you help me? That particular person that you're sitting across from that coffee table, who is she? What does she need? Where does she work? What type of organizations is she in? What does she do in her free time? Understanding who you're talking to will help you as you're scoping out your book, because now you are putting the content together in a fashion that she can understand. I like to use the example for when I talk to women. All women are not created equally. Would everybody on here agree to that? Every woman is not created equally. We may have a lot of similarities on our genetic makeup and how we're made, but we think differently. We do different things. We watch different things. We go to different places. All of us do not have the same experiences. So if you're talking to a stay-at-home mom about how to just go out there and organize her life, but you are a woman that goes to corporate America from 9 to 5, you all don't have similar experiences. Now, you may both have children, but your day-to-day activities are different. So if you just tell her, that stay-at-home mom, oh, all it takes is for you to put a calendar together, put a checklist, concentrate, meditate, and you'll get it done. And she's like, wait, you don't understand. My day is interrupted all day because there's no structure to my day. So because you're talking to one particular woman, you can't actually give them the same solutions. Now, of course, there's some things that are universal. There are some things that do cross different barriers that you will be able to do. But for your first book, I want you to get into the zone that you're writing this book to the person that's sitting on the other side of that table. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and I just want to go across this really quickly. I want you to write some goals for your book. What are those goals? When are you going to complete it? Who are you writing it to? And actually, what's the vision? Like, who do you see reading this book? Is it something that you're going to submit to Oprah's book club? Do you see yourself traveling the world using this book as an opportunity to get on stages? What is the goal? Why are you writing it? So I have a lot of people that come connect with me that are in ministry. Sometimes they're writing it for their church. Sometimes they're writing it to connect with a group of people. The goals of understanding your why, your who, putting everything together, where you're seeing this going is one of the things that I want you to take into consideration. And the last thing I want you to do, and we'll get to this a little later, I want you to write. I know that sounds a bit much. I want you actually to start writing, because a lot of times people get stuck in the planning process. They get stuck in the what ifs, and then they say, okay, Dr. Sherrie, I put together my outline. I know who I'm talking to. I've identified what I'm an expert in. I understand my solutions. So what do I do now? And I say you start writing. You actually get your computer, your laptop, your phone, if you're going to record it and then have it transcribed. Just start the writing process. So we're going to deal with a little bit of the mindset now. And understanding, I'm going to share my screen with you one more time, working through this technology. So we're going to talk about our mindset. So now that I've given you those, I have made this process seem super easy, right? I've given you those top 5 things. I'm telling you, okay, that's what you need. And really it is what you need to be able to go out there and start writing. But I'm going to go a little bit deeper, because a lot of times, because we have an idea like, wait a minute, there has to be more to this. I'll tell you just a little bit more. Some of the self-limiting beliefs that are keeping you from thinking that maybe this process is, I don't know, maybe a little bit harder than she's trying to make it seem. You're saying to yourself, I've had this idea of writing this book for a really long time, but I have not been able to get this done yet. Well, the reason why is because you got a lot of self-limiting beliefs. You say like, I can't do this. I'm terrible at writing. This is my favorite one. Everyone is writing a book now, so why do I need to? I get that a lot. People say, well, everyone's writing books now. Everyone thinks that they're an expert. Everyone thinks they're a guru. I don't want to jump into that pool. And I say, well, no, everyone is not writing a book because you have not. But also understand that there is a lane that's created just for you. And I hope I'm really just starting to kind of get you to think like, wait a minute. You honestly are keeping yourself as a best kept secret because you refuse to put yourself out there as an expert. But yet you keep having this burning desire that keeps saying, wait a minute, there's more to my life. So everybody is not writing a book. You, my friend, you need to go ahead and write that book. One of the other beliefs that I've heard is, I don't have that much to say. You ever said that, like, man, that is a lot of words to sit and put on a paper. I mean, 40,000, 50,000 words. Who talks that much? We do. And as a matter of fact, you can probably transcribe the conversation that you just had with someone yesterday, earlier today, and realize that you have talked for at least 4,000 to 5,000 words. If you were literally to record yourself and transcribe it, you realize that you actually do have that much to say. So the truth is, I'm going to just go ahead and just rebuttal some of those things that you've kind of convinced yourself. You can do this. You are writing a best-selling book. You are a great communicator. You do have the time to write your book because you make time for what is important. And you have the solutions that people need, and you're ready to share them. Part of my course that I teach, and we'll be talking a little bit about that later, but I actually have a full video where I talk to people about their self-limiting beliefs, because I have to tell you, I have seen it time and time again. I have people that are city managers that write their books to me, the top professionals in different sports. I have these people write their books to me, and there is always some time in that process that they start to say, why am I even writing this book? This doesn't even make sense. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do this now. Maybe I should do it later. And I say, like, really, wow, it really doesn't matter how much you achieved in life. When you're doing something new, it always sounds scary. It always feels like, I'm not sure. So if you can, and I'm not sure if this is going to be recorded, this is something I'm going to actually want you to go back and read. I personally, and I've written 4 books and I've helped people write hundreds of books. I personally go through my I am affirmations every time I write a book. And I literally pull it out every day as I sit down to write, because there's so many things that start to come into your mind that start to limit you, to make you think like, this is not the right time. I really don't have the time to do this. So those self-limiting beliefs, those doubts, those I am statements are what I want you to incorporate. So we want to say, and I just lost my screen, so give me 1 second. So as we are talking, so I want to have a conversation. So I know that we have a few people that have joined on that was not on earlier. Is there anyone in here, did you show up today with the idea that you are ready to write a book? So can you just correspond with me in the chat if you are someone that is interested in writing a book? I would love to see what you have to say. And please do not be shy. Those of you that came on late, I said that I'm very interactive. I love for the energy, you know. I see it, absolutely, yes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Is there anyone else that's on here today? Velveeta, I have been pushing it. Yes, ma'am. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Anyone else looking to write a book? You have an idea, and you may not have even written anything yet. You just have the idea, say, yeah, I'm gonna write a book. Is there anyone else on here today? So we have 2 people out of all of the people that we have today. We have 2 people that are ready to write a book or have an idea about writing a book. Is there anyone else? So, okay. So I'm going to say it this way, because I'm tough, guys. I'm a coach. I'm from sometimes when I bring my experiences into this, I understand that a lot of people may be on observing, but life is about participating, right? So like I said from the beginning, what you put into this is what you're going to get out of it, right? So I want to make sure that you all are understanding. I want to make sure that you all are participating. I want to make sure that you're all of the little light bulbs are starting to go off. Renee, I see I have solutions that you want to share that people need. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for that. Yes, I see another yes, that they have a book that they want to write. Awesome. So now those of you that have said that you want to write a book, what are the areas that you are an expert in? What are the topics? And there may be a few because you haven't narrowed it down just as of yet, but what type of books are you all looking to write? And as I mentioned earlier, there are all types of books, but what is it that you are looking to write about? And while you are corresponding, I want to just tell you a few of the best-selling books, topics, right? So we have money, we have motivation, we have spirituality and religion, relationships, health and fitness, and beauty. Now, this isn't to say that you need to be in that topic, but I'll read them again. It's money, motivation, spirituality, relationships, health and fitness, and beauty. So do you fit in any of those areas? So I see health and fitness, awesome. Are there any other areas that kind of just stood out, even if it wasn't on that list? I just read some of the ones that are best selling, but what is it that you are thinking about writing about? A nonfiction motivation series on GBV. What is GBV? Help me out here. I see self-help, awesome. Anyone else? Awesome. Gender-based violence, got it, thank you. Well, that's an amazing topic. Awesome, 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 and very relevant. Awesome. Anyone else? Do I need to start calling names? Okay, so I see a few that are saying that you're in and you've been pushing. What is it that you're looking to write your book about? pain relief without medication, marketing for NGOs. Awesome, awesome, awesome. These are very good topics. So, and I'm assuming, I'm going to just say it's safe to assume that you are an expert in these particular areas, that these areas that you have worked in or areas that you coach in. So just tell me a little bit about your background. If you maybe, how long have you been working in these particular areas? And I think we're getting a little slow on the responses on my end, but you can go ahead and while you're doing those, I see personal experience, while you're adding those in the chat, I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to reference back to this chat because I want to just make sure that this is making sense to you where you are, even in the particular areas. Every area that you've talked about falls underneath one of these categories, right? So if you are looking to help even marketing for NGOs, you know, just as a solution base, I would love to hear, you know, some of the expertise that you have on that, because that is, NGOs are such a big market, right? There's so many NGOs that don't know how to market. They don't know how to get their business out there. So I think that's a phenomenal topic. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep going. So I want to answer some of the frequently asked questions that I get. So let me go ahead and share my screen again for you. Okay, so some of the things that I get asked a lot, and this is when I told you that my point number 5 would just go ahead and write. People say, okay, so where do I find the content to write my book? Because you said it takes only 90 days. Well, a lot of times you all have already done the research on these things. And if let's say, and I'm going to break this down on like categories. So if you're a coach or you're a consultant, I generally like to help you write a book that you coach people on. So you probably have already given them the guidelines. You probably already have a curriculum. You probably already have content that you've created for your client. That's a very easy way to put all of that information into a book. You're literally expounding the lessons and the webinars and the series that you do with your clients as a coach. That's where you get your content from. The same journey that you take your clients on, it's the same journey that you would take your reader on. So let's say, for example, as a coach, and I saw personal development. Most coaches with personal development start with the foundation of the mind, right? They start talking about different areas of maybe, you know, self-esteem, or understanding worthiness, or on how to stop limiting beliefs. All of those things that you're coaching your clients on will be the same content that you put in the book. Now, the sweet thing about this is if it's something that you're actively doing every single day, or, you know, you're doing even as I call it side hustle, you're able to record yourself and then transcribe that content, or have that content transcribed for you, so that now you can easily come up with the content for your book. Now, those of you that have talked about motivation, because that's always a subject when people talk about motivational speaking, they have, I like to send my clients to their social media pages, because anyone that's into motivational speaking has probably done at least 15 to 20 motivational posts within a year. I would say, and I would even say even 2 years. You have all of these different posts that you've put out there that people have read and honestly forgot about, because there's so much information right now that people hear content, see content, and their attention span is so short that as soon as they read yours, they've now moved on to something else. I teach you that taking that content, things that you've already putting out there, and recycling it so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel is one place to find content. Another place is if you've written books, or you've written blogs, or different things that you've put together, that's already content. You already have access to content. Now, you may not have access to 40,000 words, right? I'm not saying that you have the entire content from the book, but I am saying that you have a starting point. You have a place for you to begin. Those of you that talked about marketing for NGOs, what research have you already done? What case studies can you use? You already have that content. You already have the solutions. Now you're just putting that in a book. So I say that because a lot of times, like I said, we overcomplicate the process. And not saying that it's not a process, but it doesn't have to take a year, 2 years, 3 years. When you understand you already have your content, you have access to it at your fingertips, which goes to the next question. When I put, how long does it take? That's another question I get. Well, it takes about 40 hours to write a book. So personally, I've written books in a week. That's where I just sat down, I did nothing else, but I just wrote. 40 hours, think about that. So even if you decide that you are going to break that up into 5 weeks, 8 hours a week, that's an hour and a half a day. So think about this, because again, I want you to start seeing this in bite-sized pieces to understand, wait a minute, I do have the time. Wait a minute, I do have the content. This is not going to be as hard as I thought. Now, there are some other pieces to it. I'm not, you need to have a structure. You need to have a very clean outline. You need to have a very clean continuity of where your reader is starting and the process of how you're going to get them to the end. You need all of those pieces. But the parts that I want you to think about is that you already have access to it. You are already an expert. You already have solutions. You have already possibly been putting content out there. Now it's time to start grabbing all of that and putting this in order and putting it in your book. So how do I find the time? And again, I'm talking about some of the frequently asked questions that I get. How do I find the time to write a book? I mentioned to you all earlier, I shared this slideshow that I'm married with 3 kids right now. I'm currently living in Barbados. So I had to start as an expat almost 2 years now. I coach people. I have a nonprofit organization. I lead women in different organizations. I help in ministry. I do all of that. But how do you find the time to write a book? I schedule it. I know, you all are waiting for me to give you like all of these really heavy things, right? I put it on my calendar because we know that if it's not on your calendar, it does not exist. If it's not on your calendar, you're not going to make sure that you do it. Now, I gave you that breakdown. It takes about 40 hours to write a book. I gave you the breakdown of how long it would take you every day. Could you commit to 1 hour or a little bit more to writing your book? Would you make that commitment to, and when I say 1 hour, I mean uninterrupted time. So I'm an early riser. I'm up about 4 o'clock in the morning every morning to start my day. I have to get up before the dog starts barking and you can hear the rabbit in the cage drinking the water. I have to get up and just beat everyone else in my house. I need to get up before them while it's quiet. Because for me, I found out that is the best time for me to write. Before my day starts, before I start making appointments, before I start answering emails and opening my phone and responding back to social media, the first part of the day is when I schedule it. Now, that may not be you. You may be someone that gets your energy at night. So, okay, you're going to make sure that you do it at night. It doesn't matter when you put it on your schedule. I'm just saying, put it on your schedule. Can you all commit to putting it on your schedule? I want to go again. I'm coming back to you all to talk to me in the chat. Does this sound like this is something that's doable? 40 hours to write a book, content that you already have access to. Does this seem like something that you could do within 90 days? And I'm going to actually, so while you're responding, I'm actually going to say yes. Yes, you can. And yes, you should. Someone said yes with my help. Yes, you should make this commitment to get this done. Because there is one thing I know is that every time, and I'm going to say every time, guys, every time I've helped someone write a book, multiple doors have opened for them. So I have one particular client that we met, I believe in 2020 on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is my spot where I meet most of my entrepreneurs, CEOs, business professionals, C-suite. They're in LinkedIn, on LinkedIn. And I met this particular client, and at the time she was an assistant city manager. So she and I connected, and I said, have you ever thought about writing a book? And she's like, no, not really. I said, well, she said, I don't know what I would write it about. Well, I looked at her resume and everything spoke leadership, 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 leadership. So I said, why don't you write a book about leadership? And she's like, that's pretty interesting. Okay, maybe I'll try. And I said, well, I promise you that once you write this book and once we connect, there are going to be multiple doors that start to open for you. And she kind of said, okay, she shrugged it off. When I tell you less than a year later, she wrote her book. She got an invitation to go speak in China. She got an invitation to go speak in Dubai. She has another invitation coming up to speak in South Africa. Her book has been on the bestsellers list multiple times. She's now put a course that she has created around her book because of that one conversation of there is so much more for you to be doing and so many more people you need to be reaching. There are countless of women that I work with that's their story. One particular client, her name is Lysandra. She and I actually do a lot of coaching even to this day together, wrote her book. Now she's going to be a TEDx speaker. She has her course that she's created. She has her women's group. She's now speaking. She's traveling with it. I'm saying that to the power of getting it done, the power of understanding the value of who you are. So I take this back to you. Do you have the time? Well, what is it worth to you? What is your end goal? Are you ready for people to understand the value of your voice? Are you ready to show up and really walk in your purpose? And I'll go ahead and use that P word, walk into your purpose, because there's so many people that need your help. There's so many NGOs that need your help. There's so many people that need personal development. There's so many people that need to understand how to get rid of their pain without medication. That's huge. So are you willing to now show up in the marketplace as the expert? So I'm going to do I'm going to do a recap. I know we have about 12 minutes. This time is going by really quickly, but I want to say this before we get off. How do you get started? As I mentioned today, write down the idea, start to understand who you're talking to, your audience of one, and create your outline. Your outline of your book is going to be the format and the flow of your book, understanding that you're going to break that down into a main topic for each chapter and multiple subtopics underneath that support that main topic. Now, this is for someone that's writing a nonfiction book or someone, a self-help book. It's not the same as when you're writing a fiction book. So I'm really speaking to those that are doing nonfiction books, but taking that course of action, understanding, like I like to call it, the journey of your reader, where they are right now and where you want them to end up. At the end of your book, they should understand the solutions that you bring. At the end of your book, they should be clear on how to apply the solutions that you wrote about in your book to their life, their business. It doesn't matter what you're writing about. So you get started today. You literally go and sit at your computer. Even it's tonight. I know it's the evening with many of you. Some of you are in the US. Wherever you are, start by writing down the idea. Start by writing a clear objective of what this book is about, who you're going to help, how you're going to help them, the solutions that you're going to bring, and then the flow of how you're going to get it there. That is how you're going to do your outline. That was a lot. I'm teaching you all like a 6-hour plus course in an hour. Well, not all of it, but a lot of the key points that you need. So, question before we're done. Do you believe that there is a bestseller on the inside of you? Because it doesn't matter how hyped I am about writing your book or helping you write your book. Do you believe that people will read your book? Do you believe that what you're writing about, people will pay for? Do you believe that? Do you believe that people will show up understanding that the solution that you bring is just what they needed? The other question is, would you benefit from having someone guide you through the process with the step-by-step process? Because we've talked about a lot today, and I hope I've given you some key things for you to think about and even just start preparing you on that journey. But would you benefit for having someone take you and hold you by the hand and say, okay, start here, do that. Okay, next chapter, put this information, put that. The other question is, are you a professional ready to unlock your purpose to show up in the global marketplace as a subject matter expert? And I'm hoping that it's yes. I'm hoping that you're saying, you know what, I got to stop sleeping on me. I got to stop sleeping on my gifts. I got to stop sleeping on my solution. I have to. And then the last thing is, are you a motivational speaker, mentor, or coach looking to create additional revenue and strengthen your business? So I would say at least 2 to 3 of these should apply to you. There should be something that you're saying like, yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm ready to use this book. They even say nowadays that a book is a business card. A book is a very surefire way to get you on stages. A book is a surefire way to create a conversation so that people want to bring you on their podcasts and their YouTube pages. People are looking for people with solutions. And honestly, I think people are just looking for new voices. You know, they're tired of hearing the same people all the time. They're looking for fresh faces. So the question is that you? Now, writing a book is only 30% of the process of becoming an author. The other 70% includes selling and marketing your book and creating additional streams of income with your book. So I said earlier towards the beginning, what is your goal? What is the goal for your book? Understanding who is going to be reading this book, understanding that, you know, if you want it in school libraries, you know, I help people write children's books and things like that. Who ultimately is going to read your book determines your marketing game plan, determines how you're going to reach out to them. Now, there is a process of marketing and selling your book, but it also requires you doing that marketing, you not being afraid to tell people that you have a book. It requires you being able to connect with friends and family and those that are in the marketplace that you see. And I gave you all a clue earlier about LinkedIn. I talked about LinkedIn. That's a place where a lot of people are looking for the solutions that you have. That's an idea for you marketing, connecting with those that are experts in their particular area, but you understand now you bring a different aspect of that. So I'm sure you know writing a book doesn't magically unlock doors. You must have the blueprint and the coaching to know where to sell, how to sell your books, and we're here to help you. So this is why I jumped on this call today, and I'm glad that you all have stayed throughout the duration because we're about ready to wrap up soon. But understand this, and some of my things that I want you to just walk away with. There is a message that I want you to really just think about that you have to get out. There are people that are waiting for you to show up and walk fully and authentically in who you are. And if there is a particular area, which I know that we all have that you have experienced in life, that you have learned a lesson, do your duty and help someone else learn the lesson so they don't have to go the same way you went. There's something unique about your voice. There's something unique about your experiences that's going to connect you to an audience that is ready and waiting for you to show up. So the question is, will you answer the call? Or will you decide like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that? Will you make a commitment? Will you decide that today is going to be that day that you stop talking about it and you start doing what's necessary? Will you do your due diligence? Will you start where you are and don't overcomplicate the process? Will you be able to recycle content that you already have and just start to enhance it? Go out and do your marketing research and your interviews and ask people and get their opinions on what they need. This process can be a very amazing process if you decide to embrace it. So we've come together at Women in Power Global, and I say we because I'm so excited about the partnership that we've created with Women in Power Global. So recently, and I don't know if you've been on the website, but that's me. I've recently added to the website. I'm so excited about this partnership. I tell you, women are my heart. Like I literally have this amazing mission to just connect with women all over the world. And I've been able to do that. And I'm just even ready to help you all take this to the next level. So this partnership that we've created is allowing us to do just that. It's allowing expertise in this field of book writing, Because sometimes you're just missing that one last piece. You're like, okay, wait a minute. I have an amazing speaker topics, right? I have these things that I've connected with people, but I have not been able to physically hand them a book. I have not been able to have them listen to my audiobook or my ebook. Now we're saying there's an opportunity to do that. And we've created this today. So that wraps up what I have to say, and I'm so excited. I know we have Q&A. We have we also have a special promotion. So if you just hang with us, we're going to be talking about what that looks like and how you can save by connecting with us and working with us to write your book. So thank you all so much. I definitely want to see if there's any questions that you have, and I'm going to actually turn it on over to Sanella, and you can just go ahead and direct how you want the Q&A to work.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sherrie. I love that. Thank you. And yes, so, we've wrapped up the session. And if you have any questions, she kept it so interactive, and I believe she's answered so many of your, thought process on this already. It was really like a journey how she took you through today. So 3 factors I want to quickly borrow from this lady who's C-suite. I heard her speech. She said there are 3 things to be a formidable woman. Number 1, 3 M's. Listen, number 1, it's the mind, and we covered that today. Number 2, it's the magic, your skills, your competencies, your knowledge base, your connections, your ability to connect with people, not just to their ears and their eyes, but also the heart, right? How do you nurture that? What's your magic for that? What's your talent capacity? What is your potential capacity? How do we bring that out? So the magic. And finally, the method. How are we going to apply all this great stuff, this good stuff? So it's your mind, it's your magic, it's a method. So with that, we are so excited for you. We love you across the world. We want to send you our love and give you blessings. And Dr. Sherrie, it's been such a joy to have you.